pressures. In the last few years, I have been outlining policies that a future NDC government will implement, and the aim is to stop the steep decline in the economy, turn it around, and stabilize it. I've also shared my position on governance and institutional reforms to ensure our country is reset and built into the Ghana we all want. It is important to note that we in the NDC will not be couching propagandist slogans and passing them off as policy. We have much to learn as a country from the disaster that has unfolded before our very eyes, when sections of our population became so enamored with empty slogans and acronyms. We will focus on substantial government issues to get the job done in a no-thrills, no-frills manner. We will cut out the rigmarole and deliver realistic policies to impact our economy and our country positively. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, the NDC proposes a series of transition measures to address the economic decline and set Ghana on the path to recovery. These measures include reducing the public debt by placing a moratorium on non-concessional borrowing, actively seeking concessional financing and grants, and reviewing legislation to limit the non-core activities of some state-owned enterprises. Why must we reduce our debt obligations? Because we need to do so to create adequate fiscal space to stabilize the economy and provide social services. So to achieve this, the NDC will implement, amongst others, the following measures. 1, as I said, place an immediate moratorium on all non-concessional borrowing. 2, pursue our bilateral partners and multilateral partners for more concessional financing and grants. 3, implement infrastructural projects that are self-financing and not a burden on the public debt. 4, limit the central bank's financing of government, as we did in 2016, zero central bank financing of government. And also reform the Bank of Ghana. 5, tighten legislation to put a cap on debt accumulation and prevent any future reckless finance minister from borrowing, as has been witnessed under this administration. So you put a cap so that some rogue finance minister won't come in future and run up the debt again. And so if we say the debt must be 60% of GDP, every year you must calculate and make sure that you are under 60% of GDP. If the finance minister exceeds it, he will be sanctioned. Sanctioned? Sacked? I meant sacked. Re-establish the sinking fund to smoothen out our debt repayment obligations. When we were in government, we set up a sinking fund to which we committed some of our oil revenues and other revenues so that any debts that were due, we had money to pay. Unfortunately, when this government came, they depleted the sinking fund and left it empty with no buffers to cover themselves. We will stop the collateralization of statutory funds like the GET Fund and the District Assembly's Common Fund. We will review some legislations to limit the financial implications of non-core activities of some state-owned enterprises like the Ghana Cocoa Board and the GMPC. Additionally, we aim to reduce the size and cost of government, tackle corruption, and enforce stricter financial management regulations and guidelines. To this effect, we will reduce the number of ministers and appointees. We will merge ministerial portfolios to prune down the number of ministries drastically. For instance, I don't see why we have aviation ministry, railways ministry, transport ministry, and all the other ministries. Sanitation ministry, local government ministry. Business Development Ministry. We will reduce waste and cost overruns, institutional borrowing, and breaches in public procurement rules. We will ensure compliance with internal and external financial control systems. We will review, and I'm sure, let Secretary General sit down. We will review and eliminate ex gratia in its current form. That's why I wanted you to sit down. Comrades and friends, we will recalibrate and amalgamate duplicated state agencies. In some cases, there are state agencies doing the same thing. We will put them together. We will discontinue the payment of utility bills, fuel, DSTV, etc., as part of top government employee service conditions. The recent misuse of public funds by government officials demands more creative and stricter measures to prevent further financial losses. Therefore, we will introduce stricter financial management regulations and guidelines to prevent the over 17 billion Ghana cedis that is lost in annual financial irregularities. We will also safeguard the principle of value for money in public procurement by establishing an independent value for money office that will vet any project above a specified ceiling approved by Parliament. We will continue with the implementation of the process of constitutional review in order to strengthen the 1992 Constitution and bring it up to speed with current trends and developments. As you all know, this was begun by Professor John Evans Atta Mills. In 2015, somebody took us to court, and the case was not adjudicated till we were almost in the election year. And so we couldn't continue with it, and we left it to the next administration, and it has stalled. Stabilizing the cedi is another crucial measure to redirect billions of dollars spent on imports towards domestic production. We are not going to claim that we've arrested it and giving the key to the IGP, but we're going to work to stabilize the cedi by eliminating a lot of the wasteful imports that we have a comparative advantage to produce. We'll incentivize the indigenous private sector to capture the commanding heights of the economy in every sector to reduce financial outflows occasioned by huge profit repatriations by international companies. We will pass local content laws to give Ghanaian registered businesses an advantage, especially in the extractive sector. By incentivizing local production of goods and promoting value addition, we can stabilize the cedi, create sustainable jobs, and achieve food self-sufficiency. The businesses will be incentivized to produce goods such as rice, sugar, tomato, frozen fish, poultry, meat products, vegetable cooking oils, and local pharmaceuticals. We will place restrictions on unbridled importation of some highly consumed goods through the use of tariffs and non-tariff measures. This policy will also support large-scale commercial agricultural production to enable us to achieve food self-sufficiency. A strong cooperative system, and this is where we failed over the years. We have not taken advantage of cooperatives because it's easier to reach the farmers and other people through cooperatives when they are working together than to reach them as individual farmers. And so a strong cooperative system in the agriculture sector based on farmer service centers is going to be the vehicle that will drive our agricultural credits and input supply system. Ghana has 16 regions. Each of the 16 regions of this country is going to be supported with investments in products for which they have a comparative advantage. Processing plants will be provided in the regions for processing of crops such as palm oil, groundnuts, cotton, coffee, cocoa, soya, cassava, cereals, ginger and spices, cut flowers, fruits, and other horticultural products. Cashew is there. Cashew is there. It was number 2. The man is from Bronga Alpha, so. For his benefit, let me go over it again. Palm, cashew, groundnuts, cotton, coffee, cocoa, soya, cassava, cereals, ginger, spices, cut flowers, fruits, and other horticultural products. Somebody shouted Shenat, you're right. We will involve the private sector in our national food buffer stock arrangements to improve efficiency and cut out waste. We will rehabilitate and preserve our remaining forest reserves through revenues received from carbon offsets. Hundreds of thousands of jobs will be created this way in the forestry sector. We also intend to strengthen accountability in our gold export industry and promote an integrated bauxite and alumina industry to increase returns from the extractive sector. It is widely known and acknowledged that the figures we capture as our gold exports are far lower than the quantity of the metal that leaves our shores. Implementing better accountability in this gold mining sector and gold export sector can yield billions of dollars for this country. We will prioritize value addition by increasing domestic processing and refining of our gold before export, and will continue to pursue the dream of establishing an integrated bauxite and alumina industry. Brother Secretary General, I make you a firm pledge that we'll work together and lead a team to revamp and reignite some strategic industries. You mentioned some of them. Tor is one, Bost is another, Valco is another. Industries like that, we would work to revitalize them. And I agree with you when you say that it's not only the private sector that can run industry. The government and public states too can run industry. And we proved it in our time. When we were in office, Tor was working. Boss was working and making profits. The state enterprises were working. We said that we revived the Kumasi shoe factory. And so these are things that can work, and we'll continue to look at them. In this green transition period, we will partner with our multinational partners such as Talo, ENI, ACA, and others who are active in our upstream oil industry to speed up and bring into operation more oil and gas fields that have needlessly been delayed under this government. This will generate extra revenue to enable us stabilize the economy. We will explore a partnership under PPP arrangements between the ECG and some serious private sector organizations in the downstream distribution sector. The private sector participation would assist ECG in distribution of prepaid meters and collection of bills. We will rationalize the power sector and develop strategies to bring down the cost of power. We will also accelerate the integration of solar energy into our transmission grid. Once we halt the decline, and then here we intend to remove taxes on solar equipment to make them cheaper for Ghanaians to procure. Once we halt the decline of the economy, we will begin to witness the full impact of our policies towards achieving our goal of building the Ghana we want together. We will update the 40-year development plan and continue with its implementation. The NDC's vision for building the Ghana we want is centered around the 5 pillars of the 40-year development framework, which we formulated before we left office in 2016. And that is 1, build an industrialized, inclusive, and resilient economy. 2, creating an equitable, healthy, and prosperous nation. 3, developing well-planned, safe communities while protecting the natural environment. 4, building effective, efficient, and dynamic institutions for national development. And 5, strengthening Ghana's role in Africa and international affairs. Our policies will align with these pillars, and we welcome input and collaboration from the TUC and our other allies. In addition to the above, I would like to highlight some significant sectoral and sub-sectoral